In a world of rumors and reckless talk, one woman stands for truth. She doesn't speculate, she cross-examines. The courtroom is her kingdom, and justice wears heels. Order in the court, let the facts be seen. Melissa Jade on the mic, call her crime scene queen. She don't do drama, she don't do lies. Every case get clean when she analyze. Cross that line, she'll object real quick. Logic so tight, it cut like a brick. Beautiful mind with a presence so loud. When she speaks, you can feel the whole room bow, room bow, room bow. She studies every angle, every word, every lie. And when she speaks, it's not emotion, it's evidence. No hearsay, just receipts on the table. She don't need fiction, truth's her label. Courtroom lights glow, her heels click steady. Whole jury leaning like, man, we ready. They talk nonsense, she calls it out clear. Confident, strong, you can feel that in the air. She got the law locked and the facts in sway. Another case closed the Melissa J. way. They came with theories, she came with proof. They had opinions, she had the truth. They had the theories, she came with proof. They had opinions, she had the beauty don't fade when the brain got bites. She shine like a verdict red late at night. Smart, bold, blow loud and still so graceful. Every sentence sharp and tasteful. Some say justice is blind, but when Melissa Jade steps in, justice sees clearly. Yeah, she walked through lies like a gavel crack. Truth in her voice, ain't no turning back. Debunking myths with a lawyer's flair. She don't chase clout, she builds it there. Applause in the chat, they know her name. Melissa Jade, she don't play games. Beautiful, brilliant, truth unafraid. Bow to the queen of facts, Melissa Jade. The verdict is in, and the truth has a name. Melissa Jade. Melissa Jade.
Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. Thank you, Lindsay, for 22 months. Hello, Melissa. Hi. I still, your guys' handles are, I don't know how to change that, and I forgot to look it up last night. Go to live, click add on your sheet, and then go to live chat. I don't like seeing the handles instead of names. But okay, it doesn't matter. How's everyone's Saturday going? Hi for Shiggles. Hey, Anton. It's been a minute. Carolyn Cooper, Tiffany, Stephen Callie, Julie A, Boho Hobo. So there's that. Flower Girl, Trio Girl Mom. I saw this case in Law and Crime. Sorry, that stuck in my head from Lauren Matthias from Hidden True Crime. Hi, Chris Jenner. Hi, Bible Lady. I did see that they had Law and Crime put something out, and then there was another one. I think Clayton, I don't know if Clayton did a quick interview or they quoted him, but I saw something. Hi, Karen from Germany is in the house. Welcome. Howdy doody, Coffee and Skeletons. Hi, Laura Ashley, a good Laura. Hi, Bastard Ramsey Bolton Arias. I love that name. Leave some DNA on the like. Yes, thank you. Please do. Hi, Tess, Captain, my captain. We're going to continue reading. We have 2 posts left from 2024, and then there's like 5. I think about 4 or 5 from 2025. So we're almost there, but she makes really, really long posts, like really, really long posts. Hi, Wolfie. It's been since last night. Wolfie, if you could figure out how to disable the handles, that would be great because I don't like the handles. I'm just a mom with an internet channel. Civil stalking injection for Law and Crime. I can't get it out of my head. Hi, J13. Hey, Noodle. Okay, so here is our missing child, and I chose from Arizona, given that this case is circled around Arizona. And this is Abriana Madrid, and she has been missing since November 13th, 2025 from Santan Valley, Arizona. She is 14 years old. So if you or anyone who knows information on Brianna's whereabouts, please contact the Queen Creek Police Department at 1408-358-3500. Okay. And remind me, well, I guess I'll just post it on Patreon. I don't know if you guys wanted to do Wade or conspiracy, but I'll do the poll on Patreon. I guess that makes the most sense. Hi, Soulful Shauna. Hi, I'm J Mods in chat. It's 11:35 here in England, and there's no better way to be spending my Saturday night. Glad to be here with you all. That's so sweet. That's so sweet. I want to go to England. I want to go anywhere, honestly. I haven't really been anywhere, and I want to travel. But I'm so excited. I'm so excited to continue on, and I'm excited. I don't want to say I'm excited to get through the Medium posts because the Medium posts are super interesting, but I'm so excited to kind of get to each part. And I'm really curious about what happened with Greg and how she was able to go to court for abortion coercion. And so I don't want to get through it, but like I'm excited to get to the next part too. And so let's see how many we could get through tonight. This one, yesterday, it took us over 2 hours just to get through one. This one is a little bit shorter, I think. And this one says, The Weight of Hiding, the Gift of Knowing My Autism Journey. So this is technically the third post in a row she made regarding this autism diagnosis. Okay. So she writes, oh, no, hold on. Before we even do this, I wanted to show you guys. I made this side by side with the photo she had yesterday because it's much easier than flipping back and forth. But tell me, this is supposed to be the same time. Yes, me too. Me too. This is supposed to be the same time in October. Yet we said yesterday, first of all, this looks, as throughout that entire hearing, this fake baby bump kept getting higher and higher. Like, as you can see, it started out a little bit lower and then it became like a third boob in the center. They don't look the same. They don't look the same to me. She looks much, much bigger in the injunction. Hi, Samantha. Am I crazy? Like, it doesn't, that the stomach looks so much bigger in that injunction because she would be wearing a boom, a moon boom. Thanks, Tash. That sounds so weird to say. Natasha for 19 months, popping in to say, hey, beautiful MJ, and everybody miss you. Don't forget to hit the like. We miss you. And this is a crazy bitch, Natasha. I wish you were here following this. It does. It looks like a third boob by the time. Yeah, it became a throb. It doesn't look like the same person. Yeah, it's totally legit. Oh, is that Laura? I noticed that stump from anywhere. It's totally legit, you guys. Laura Owens. I could see. Oh, look at that little stump. I just want to grab it. Hi, Sam Galgrill. Yeah, it doesn't look the same. And I had to flip the center photo just so it kind of faced the same way as the bump on the left. And I'm like, no, there's just no way. Well, and throughout that entire hearing, we specifically mentioned you could not see her belly button. And something that becomes very pronounced as you become more pregnant is your belly button. And usually you can see a circular kind of a darker spot where a woman's belly button is. And you don't see anything, as you can see on the right. You don't see anything. Yet we do here, which tells me you have something covering it. Nothing you can do. YouTube is slowly rolling it out. And so some creators have display and other. Wine finally switched. It makes me pissed. Yeah, it looks like she had one too many cheesy gordita crunches and she's trying. But again, you could tell her arms and stuff, it's all even. Like, she wants to act here. It's this photo. She wants to act as if she was this skinny. And I'll show you. She wants to act as if she was this skinny and just had the pregnancy bump, but that's not the case, because her arms are thicker. Her whole body is thicker. And so there's no way she was this thin. And I'm pulling it up 1 second. With just a pregnancy bump. There's just no way. You could tell it's distribute. The weight is evenly distributed throughout her body. She was just heavier at this point. She's trying to say this is what she was plus a pregnancy bump. Like, all the extra weight came from the pregnancy. No, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. I don't know who Laura Owens is in the chat, but I'm here for it. Your Letitia stuff and then got lost in the playlist. Girl, we keep saying how Laura, thankfully she had not taken any lives before she got caught, besides those of fake fabricated babies. But she's very similar to Letitia with her lies. Crazy, what right person in their right mind would ever lie to the extent that she's lying? Very similar. Okay. So let's now jump back. Did you fake swollen ankles and water retention too, Laura? Exactly. It's ridiculous. So now we're jumping back and we're doing her next post, which is the weight of hiding, the gift of knowing, my autism journey. And just because it's been a minute, let's just give a good old Tisha keep on, because Laura's gonna need her own song pretty soon.
She keeps on. She keeps on. She keeps on. She keeps on. She keeps on.
You can hear the music from 26 miles away. Smiling is happy, and happy is here to stay. Yeah.
Keeps on. 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 She keeps on threatening me.
For the interviews, because I don't have any fancy clothes.
Go to my closet, you take whatever you need. You too, Brennan. You guys got to look sharp. It's the most important day of our lives, okay?
Hey, Dad.
What's your name? What's your age? Where you from? What's your sign? Who you love? What's your style? What you do? what you drive. Stop, drop, and roll. Do that. Do it like a pro. Do that. Stop, drop, and roll. Do that. Do it like a pro. Do that. Hit top, rollie, boy, we know you phony. Take her to the mall and buy her what she want it. Already smashed, so I'ma let the homie. RP my cash and RP a Kobe. If you're born in September, then you know you're my type. If I see you on Tinder, then I gotta swipe right. If you're born in October, then you're just like me. Here's a resume, can you fill this out, please? What's your name? What's your age? Where you from? What's your sign? Who you love? What's your style? What you do? What you drive? Stop, drop, and roll. Do that. Do it like a pro. Do that. Stop, drop, and roll. Do that. Do it like a pro. Do that.
The people are like really nice. Like everybody knows my name.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name.
Okay, what the
Okay, so we're gonna need an updated one for Laura, because again, they are so similar. Thank you, Samantha, for 1 year. Thank you, Holly, for 11 months. Never gets old. Stop, drop, and roll. No, it doesn't. They're just so similar. So similar. But okay, here we go. We have The Weight of Hiding, The Gift of Knowing, My Autism Journey by Laura Owens. At 34, I finally received my autism diagnosis. How much did you pay for it, though, Laura? It was the answer to questions I'd quietly carried my entire life. Questions that loomed over me in countless moments of confusion, shame, and loneliness. Why does the world feel so different to me? Why do I feel exhausted after being around people, even my family and friends? Girl, that's normal. Like, so do I. Like, so does everybody here. I guarantee it. Why does everything that seems so easy for everyone else feel so hard for me? Yeah, I'm sure not working a day in your life and living off of daddy's money in a fucking casita. You've had it hard, right? You must be exhausted, girl. Autism wasn't something I'd ever imagined could be part of my story. I thought I was just different. Oh, girl, you are. Trust, you are, girl. But not in the quirky, charming kind of way some people claim with pride. I was different in ways that hurt, in ways that made me feel isolated and broken, and eventually exhausted from trying to hide it all. For so long, I was afraid to admit the difference, not just to others, but to even myself. My family had hinted at it over the years, gently suggesting, well, maybe you're on the spectrum. I don't know why Dad got an accent, but we're just going to roll with it. Each time they brought it up, I felt a flash of defensiveness that I just couldn't explain. I'd brush it off, quickly changing the subject and, well, why? Sorry, but like, why didn't Papa suggest, what about split personality disorder? What about narcissism? You know what I mean? Like, though, there's a few other things I would go with before autism, but that's just me. I'd quickly brush it off, changing the subject. Autism didn't look like me. I tell myself this. I wasn't avoiding eye contact or missing sarcasm. I could navigate small talk, even if it drained every ounce of energy from me. To me, autism seemed like something clear-cut, something easy to define, and I was convinced I didn't fit. Well, neither did that moon bump. It didn't stop you from wearing that in the court of fucking law. Friends would sometimes make similar comments, noting my unique ways of coping or the way I interacted. But what stung the most, my dog stepped on a bee, was when an autistic friend said quite directly, "You know you're on the spectrum, right?" I remember the enormous effect. I'm sorry, how convenient. So not only mama and papa, Laura, you sure do seem like you're on the spectrum, honey. I don't know why they didn't go and take you right as a child if it was so obvious, but also, you have conveniently a friend on the spectrum who then approached you and said, "You know you're on the spectrum, honey," right? Like, come on. This is all too convenient. Okay. I remember the enormous offense I took, the sting of her words echoing long after. It felt like she was seeing something I'd worked so hard to hide from myself. And yet, even with my own friends, I kept brushing it off, certain that I could push through whatever was holding me back. I told myself I was just sensitive, that if I tried hard enough, I could be like everyone else. I just needed to work a little harder and blend a little bit better. What about taking 3 men to court over fabricated pregnancies and reaching out to media and outing your? What about those actions and behavior screams blending a little bit better? But I digress, right? Let's just roll with it. But eventually, as the years passed, I couldn't keep ignoring it. Every social gathering, every decision, every small interaction that left me drained and self-critical began to pile up. I was tired of pretending, tired of the invisible pressure to meet expectations I couldn't even name. And so, after years of brushing it aside, I found the courage to undergo the diagnostic process. I opened up my life to a level of scrutiny that was terrifying, afraid of what the results might reveal, but knowing deep down that I needed to understand me. When the diagnosis finally came, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was relieved, yes, to finally have an answer that made sense, but I also felt raw, as if I'd been stripped of the disguises I'd worn for so long. I'd built my life around masking my struggles, pretending to be someone I wasn't, hiding the parts of myself that felt too different. Autism was an answer, but it was also a revelation that everything I believe about myself was incomplete. I knew I would never see myself the same way again. And somehow that felt both terrifying and like the most freeing gift I could imagine. Why does she include these random photos? Sorry. She always includes like very random photos that don't really align with the context of what she's writing, but it I guess it fits her, right? She's a little outside of the box. She's not her typical cookie cutter, so we'll give her that. But here Laura is gliding through a double purple gate with her horse that she somehow looks identical to. But okay, I feel bad for that horse, but all right. I spent a lifetime trying to fit into places I didn't belong. With them, I learned I never needed to change myself to find belonging. It's convenient that this like, oh my God moment happens at the same time you're being indicted, right? Just saying. So when I started to look back, I saw that autism had shaped my life in ways I never realized. One of the most profound gifts it gave me was my deep connection to the things I loved. From the time I was a child, my world revolved around horses. They weren't just an interest, they were an obsession. Horses didn't ask anything of me. They didn't expect small talk. They moved in ways that felt predictable, comforting. With horses, I didn't have to be normal or social. I could just be myself without judgment, without effort. Bitch, if those horses could testify, oh my God. That connection to horses wasn't just a passion. It was my way of finding peace in a world that felt overwhelming and unpredictable. Okay. Over time, the comfort extended to the people around me at the stable. For the first time, I found myself opening up, talking to other horse people. Nay, people who shared my passion and understood my world without expecting anything extra. There, among people who loved horses the way I did, I felt a rare sense of belonging. I could connect over something specific and meaningful without the pressure to follow all the unspoken social rules that always felt so confusing. I realize now that my bond with horses was a bridge to others that felt natural, safe, and genuine. Sorry, I'm really concerned for the horses at this point. Outside of the stable, though, life didn't come with the same kind of clarity. After every social event, I'd go home exhausted, my mind replaying every word, every moment, trying to understand if I'd done something wrong, if I'd somehow failed. I was constantly second-guessing myself, questioning every interaction. I became an expert at masking, at pretending to be normal. I'd practice conversations, analyze body language, and memorize social cues to keep up appearances. But it was all an act, one that left me feeling like a stranger in my own life. This is like a how-to of how you put on your performances for court. Actually, it's very interesting. You're admitting that you would practice conversations, body language, and social cues to put on a performance. But okay, you did a shit job at it. I don't know, Samantha, right? I you know what? I guess we all do. I'm freaking out, man. Done. And it wasn't just social interactions that overwhelmed me. Even the simplest decisions could feel paralyzing. Last year, during one of the most challenging times of my life, I found myself stuck in a routine that might seem absurd to others. I ordered the same Domino's pizza every single night for 6 months. Okay, I'm sorry. Are we gonna rewind now and go back to you trying to claim that this was you and that oh yeah, no, I was just this skinny and I was pregnant and I lost all that. No, ma'am. Here is the answer. We finally understand. You ordered Domino's every night for 6 months. There you go. Did they have a 2-for-1 type of deal? Is that how you got your twins? It all makes sense now, and you're admitting it from your own mouth. She's definitely a meat lovers type of chick. I could tell. Oh, well, mommy and daddy's money. Send it to the casita. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's a glutton, Betty. That's a stuffed crust type of belly, if you know what I mean. To most people, it would probably look like laziness, maybe even a joke. You know what? Honestly, not just laziness, spoiled. Who was paying for that? It costs at least like $25, even for like a medium pizza by the time you get that shit delivered, okay? Who the fuck could afford, not put aside the laziness, who could afford a daily Domino's, okay? Extra sausage for sure. For sure. Every night I'd open the app, click on my saved order, and for those few minutes, I had control. Really? Oh my God, if she is going to tie this in to why she somehow didn't go to the doctor's office, I'm leaving. I'm getting up and I'm walking away. If you're making your pepperoni meat lovers type fucking order, daily order, and turn this into some reason why you didn't go to your doctor's appointments, I'm out for real. That's the pregnant woman special for sure. It was like my mind was locked, unable to process the idea of change, even in something as simple as dinner. I used to feel ashamed of this, embarrassed that I couldn't handle something so small. But now I understand that my autistic mind craves patterns, routines, and familiarity, not because I'm limited, but because they bring me peace. This love for routine is a gift, one that allows me to create a sense of order and calm in a world that can often feel chaotic. It has helped me understand my heightened sensitivity to sensory input, the clinking of silverware, the hum of a crowded room, the sound of blinds tapping against a window in the wind. These subtle noises, so easily ignored by others, often feel amplified and inescapable to me. I thought I needed to toughen up, to ignore the things that felt uncomfortable. But now I understand that this sensory sensitivity is also a gift. It allows me to experience the world with heightened awareness, to notice details that others might miss. I can hear the softest sounds, feel the subtlest textures, and appreciate the beauty in small, quiet moments. It's a way of connecting to the world that feels rich and vivid. My diagnoses also help me embrace the depth of my empathy. Empathy, okay. Autism isn't typically associated with heightened emotional connection, but for me, it is. I feel deeply, sometimes overwhelmingly so. I can sense other people's emotions intensely, even when they don't express them directly. Oh, real? Okay. So when Clayton would very black and white say, yo, I'm not attracted to you. No hate. I'm not saying you're not attractive, but I'm not attracted to you. And I want absolutely zero, nothing to do with you in my life, period. Never going to happen. Do you feel like your ability to understand how people feel even when they don't say anything, do you feel like that was one of those moments? Because honestly, I'd argue the complete opposite. The complete opposite. You can't even understand what someone's saying when they very black and white tell it to you, which is concerning. This capacity for empathy has allowed me to form connections that go beyond words, to offer comfort by simply being present. It's a gift I carry with pride, a way of understanding others that feel honest and real. The hardest part of this journey has been letting go of the comparisons I made to my parents. Both my mom and dad spent decades in radio, masters of conversation and connection. They can talk to anyone, creating warmth and openness in every interaction. When my mom and I started a podcast together, I thought it would be my chance to connect like they did. But each time we recorded, I felt this rush of panic. My mind would go blank when it was my turn to ask a question, and I'd worry about saying the wrong thing. I thought I was failing, that I wasn't cut out for what they did so naturally. Now, I understand that my mind works differently, and that's okay. I don't have to be exactly like my parents to connect meaningfully with people. I can do it my own way, like fabricating pregnancies. I can appreciate their gifts without needing to replicate them. And that's something I could have never understood without this diagnosis, this very convenient diagnosis. This diagnosis did not change who I am. It gave me permission to finally stop fighting who I am. For as long as I can remember, I pushed and I pushed, just not in the delivery room, trying to fit into a version of life that never seemed like it was meant for me. I hid the parts of myself I thought were too much or not enough. I masked and I blended and I shaped myself to be accepted. But each time, it took a piece of me. Now, I finally understand that my ways of being my routines, my focus, my daily dominoes, the things I see that others don't, are all part of what makes me whole and stuffed crust. Autism hasn't changed who I am, but it has given me permission to be me. It's allowed me to look back on my life with compassion instead of criticism. I can see the child who found solace in horses, the young woman paralyzed by choices, the person who felt overwhelmed by noise and chaos, and I could finally embrace each of those versions of myself without judgment. For the first time in forever, I'm allowed to be all of those things: sensitive, routine loving, deeply focused, and feel that every part of me is exactly as it should be. And again, pause. Only because she's mentioned she's had 4 other diagnoses before autism. Those diagnoses overlap, and they share a lot of the same qualities, symptoms, characteristics. And so why would you be so confused with those characteristics when they already would fall under your prior diagnoses? Why is it just this all of a sudden being on the spectrum has opened the door, and you are pushing that diagnoses back into a box when people are trying very hard to get out of that box, out of that stigma? Anton. Oh, God. That's her with the horse zipper again. I remember it. This right here is the face of someone who once feared her differences and now embraces them as her strengths. All right, good to know. Good to know. That's the face right there. I think it was ADHD, anxiety, depression, and maybe even bipolar. Don't take my word on that. I'd have to go back to the prior post to say, but there was like 4. I know one for sure was ADHD, and ADHD and autism have a lot of overlapping characteristics. Like everything she described, her diagnosis is very common, like for real. The idea of going out into large social interactions drains me too. Sometimes even something as simple, and anyone who struggled with depression knows, something as simple as pick up the phone and make a call can be overwhelming, and it seems very silly, but that's the truth. So everything she's describing is not unique. It's really not unique. Oh, wow. Okay. So that's that one. Next. For the first time in forever. Okay. This is the last Medium post of 2024. And then there's 4 more in 2025. So this is when survival comes in 5-minute increments. Oh, kind of like your blowjobs to Clayton, huh? Okay. Exactly. And that's what I said yesterday, Natasha, like not to be upsetting or, any one of us walking into a doctor's office, you will walk out with a diagnosis, period. And that doesn't mean that there aren't people who genuinely have the disorder or whatever it may be, but every single person will walk out with a diagnosis in today's age. That's just how it is. And honestly, if you specifically are looking for a certain diagnosis, some are easier to obtain than others, but for the most part, you can get that diagnosis. Truthfully, me. Exactly, Bruce. Exactly. Okay. When survival comes in 5-minute increments. What is that? Again, how random are these picture attachments? Usually, like we learned back in elementary school, like you are doing a project on the Prohibition, you would choose a photo that accurately shows the Prohibition era, right? Her photos are very not correlated to what she's writing. What is that? The number 9? Is this a Jim Carrey movie? Why do I see a little hair? There is hair. Sorry, I'm not. You know what? No, fuck it. I will shame her. She's got a hair chest. Girl, is that her? My well-worn semicolon necklace, a gift from my sister last Christmas, arrived in the wreckage of my miscarriage and during what I thought was the worst of the bullying. Spoiler, it wasn't even close. The semicolon is supposed to represent a pause, not the end. A reminder that my story wasn't over. That's a semicolon? That looks like a 9 with a hole drilled in it. But I can't take my eyes off the hair. I'm sorry. No, that's Laura's chest, Natasha. That's Laura's chest. But to be honest, what I will say is if she was closer to the weight that I just showed, that thin, that very, very thin, tiny 85 pounds, your body will grow hair on it to keep itself warm because you don't have any fat. So judging by how flat her chest is looking, she probably is very thin, and there's a good chance that her body may have started to grow hair to keep itself warm. Yeah, it's like an online. Hi, Harlot. It's like an online, poor Linda, blogging type thing, I guess. But yeah, there's hair. There's for sure hair. It's the corduroy that's throwing me off too. Okay. It started with a question, a quiet one, absurd in its simplicity, but it saved my life. Can you take 5 more minutes? When you're in the depths of hell, forever is a myth. Tomorrow is a dream meant for someone stronger, someone not suffocating under the crushing weight of it all. When you're drowning, 5 minutes isn't a lifeline. It's not a solution or a promise that things will improve, but it's not forever either. It's just 5 minutes. It all began on September 20th, 2023. Did it though, Laura? Go back another decade. Like, be honest. Hi, Kathy Joe. It all began in Nam. It began on September 20th, 2023, though it feels like a lifetime ago. That was the day strangers I'd never met decided I wasn't human anymore. Content creators latched onto my story, present, my pregnancy, my grief, and twisted into weapons for clicks and views. They reshaped me into a caricature, a liar, a fraud, someone deserving of scorn. They didn't just tell their versions of me, they amplified it until the world believed it. Their version of me spread like wildfire, faster than I could grasp. Every attempt I made to defend myself only fueled the flames. Silence became guilt. They didn't just take my story. They stole pieces of me, leaving behind a shell I didn't recognize. Yeah, I think people like her should be banned from procreating, honestly. And I fully support that. There are some people who should not be allowed to procreate. But when was she silent? Because she says silence became guilt. When was Laura silent? Asking for a friend. I needed the pain to stop. I kept thinking, how can I get them to stop if they won't listen? How can I make this end? That's when the thoughts began. At first, they came as a whisper, soft but insistent. What if it just ended? Oh, now we're going into suicidal ideation. Got it. Okay. And then you wonder why you have a bunch of wellness checks called on you. Whispers have a way of growing louder. As the days dragged on, they became screams, drowning out everything else. It wasn't that I wanted to die. I didn't. I just couldn't figure out how to keep living under the crushing weight of grief, lies, and exploitation. Don't you love that little switch Darvo technique again? Just switching. The victim becomes the perpetrator, and the perpetrator is becoming the victim. I begged for mercy. I reached out to the main creator behind this relentless campaign, a man who made me the focus of daily videos and podcasts. Please, I said, if I don't survive this, my blood is on your hands. Pause. That is wrong. Like, I love how she includes that in this post as if she's proving a point. You cannot put that on someone else, period. You just can't do it. And so if you ended up taking your life, that's on you. That doesn't mean that there can't be severe harassment, or like that case that we spoke about the last time where the girlfriend was literally texting the guy, like, did you do it yet? You know, you're such a pussy, you need to do it. That's different. But in general, you're not the first person who's been targeted online. You will not be the last person, but at least in your circumstances, sorry, you really did something to kind of deserve it. And when I say that, I don't mean all of the things that may have crossed lines, but you're not the first person to be targeted. But if you end up taking your life, that is on you. But do not sit there and follow all of the creators. Do not go into their Discords and snoop to see what they are saying. Don't go into their Patreons to go and grab screenshots. You are seeking that out. So at that point, that is on you. Your mental health, your well-being is on you. And if you have to get off the fucking internet to save your life, that is what you need to do. But you cannot expect other people to care more about your life than you care about your life. You are seeking it out. The only person you can control is you. And so if that creator publishing videos, posting videos, whatever it may be, is putting you in such a bad mental place, you want to take your own life, that is on you to get off the internet and not watch it. Period. He didn't stop. He still hasn't. To this day, he continues to profit off of dissecting my life, a total stranger's life, as if it's his right. Again, I watch all the juicy gossip with Brad and Angelina, right? Bradgelina, with the whole airplane. Welcome to 2025, ma'am. This is what happens. I'm sure all the celebrities out there don't like every single aspect of their life being scrutinized, being broken down. That just comes with being a public figure or a limited public figure. And you went and did a TEDx talk and Chicken Soup for the Soul. Remember, you put yourself out there on your podcasts. You outed yourself, number one, but number two, you're also a limited public figure. It comes with the territory. Not everything people are going to say about you is something you're going to like. The whole world isn't going to like you, even if you weren't a piece of fucking shit like you are. Overwhelmed and desperate, I made a choice that I'll always regret. On October 16th, 2023, I sent him my positive blood HCG pregnancy test results. Clear proof that I was pregnant. Oh, but bitch, you tampered with those. I see the next sentence. Yeah, I already know. You literally fabricated those. But in the moment of panic, I tampered with the results, inflating the numbers in a desperate attempt to make him stop. Can't you see that I'm pregnant? You're destroying me. Please stop. Laura, if you were indeed pregnant, you wouldn't need to inflate those numbers. If everything was as it seemed to be in your eyes, why did you need to tamper with those numbers at all? So she's talking about a blood test. And if the HCG levels are above a certain amount, now keep in mind, they're supposed to double every single day. So if you are 100 HCG today, it should be 200 tomorrow. Okay. Oh yeah, no, but she did miscarry in July. Apparently now, right? But in October, you sent that positive blood HCG pregnancy test results, which you then inflated those numbers, not by 1, not by 50, by like 200,000. But if you were indeed pregnant, why did you need to tamper with those results at all? The unaltered results already confirm the truth. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. You lie more than a whore. Shut up, Laura. The unaltered results already confirm the truth. I was pregnant. Then why did you alter them? Then what? Like, I can't. Sorry, I'm starting to get really annoyed with her. If the unaltered results already showed you were pregnant, why did you need to alter them? Or were you trying to go with like a Wade Wilson? You were trying to get pregnant as fuck, not just pregnant. You needed to be pregnant as fuck, right? Okay, sure. I wasn't trying to deceive anyone when I fabricated these results. I was drowning and grasping for relief. You were drowning in a 2-inch puddle, and all you had to do was stand the fuck up, Laura. The altered test was never submitted to the court. No, just a different altered one, right, Laura? Never. But that desperate act gave others all the ammunition they needed to attack me further, to twist my panic into a weapon against me. And then I found out that I had miscarried. The loss hit like a brick to the chest. Sharp, breath-stealing, absolute. I wanted to grieve, but justice for Clayton decided that there was no room for that. Instead, they turned my loss into another story, another excuse to mock me as they accused me of lying about it, twisting my pain into a punchline. I was already shattered, already crushed under the weight of a world that seemed to delight in my suffering. The miscarriage felt like the universe's final, cruel confirmation that nothing was left for me but pain. I couldn't see tomorrow. I couldn't even imagine the next hour. And then, in the darkest moments, there was a clock. I lay curled on the bathroom floor, tears soaking the tile, staring at the seconds ticking forward. Would this be my last day? Would I let the noise win? Spoiler alert, if we're reading this, clearly not. Thanks, Trio Girl, for 21 months. That is amazing. Thank you so much. That support is incredible. I really appreciate it. What? People made fun of her miscarriage? I love that. Oh, that's good. I haven't heard that one. You're so punny. I love it. Hey, Nature's Gypsy. Was it the worst day of your life? Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know, FOS. I'm just listening. I'm just rolling with it. All right. In my mind, I have like Stranger Things that I'm anticipating in a couple of days. So I'm imagining like Vecna's clock, like dong, like very intense. Then I thought of my family, the people who would bear the wreckage if I didn't make it. First of all, didn't make it, you mean take your own life? Again, you throw it around and you minimize it and you make it a fucking joke. It would be a choice. It wouldn't be I didn't make it as if you're in the ICU holding on for dear life. It would be a choice. And someone as narcissistic as you would never. It wasn't their fight, but they would inherit the scars. And I couldn't do that to them. No, you'll just send them in bankruptcy and smear their entire name they worked for their whole lives, right? Welcome, poor Linda. So I asked myself, Laura, can you take 5 more minutes? The first 5 minutes, they felt impossible. My breath came in gasps. My hands shook, but the clock kept moving. When those first 5 minutes passed, nothing had changed. The harassment was still there. The grief still hollowed out my chest. The videos still racked up views. Yeah, because you were checking. In those 5 minutes, you didn't even give yourself 5 minutes to disconnect. You were still going on Dave Neal's. Oh, how many views did you get? More than 5 minutes ago. That's a you problem, Laura. But Laura Owens, I was still here. So I asked myself again, Laura, can you take 5 more minutes? And that's how it started. 5 minutes turned into 10, 10 turned into 20, just like the HCG results that I was fabricating. And somehow I made it through the night. And I kept counting that next day and the subsequent days where I felt I couldn't handle another 5 minutes. If you're reading this and you're in that place, the one where the air feels like lead and the weight is unbearable, I'm not going to lie to you. Okay. I'm not going to tell you it gets better or feed you hollow words about hope. Because when your life is falling apart, those words, they don't matter. Imagine how greasy her fucking fingers must have been. She must have destroyed many of keyboards if she was, doing a Meat Lover's Dominoes every night. What matters is this. You don't have to figure out tomorrow or even the rest of the day. You just have to figure out how to survive the next 5 minutes. Sit with the clock. Let the seconds carry you forward. And when 5 minutes are up, ask yourself again, can you take 5 more? I really hope you take this strategy, Lauren, when you're sitting in prison and you're serving serious time. Just ask yourself, Laura, can you take 5 more minutes? From September 20th, 2023 to today, December 12th, 2024, I've survived 129,600 minutes. Sorry, God. She has a lot of parallels to songs. That's how many times I've chosen to stay. If you're part of Justice for Clayton and salivating to pick this apart, because I know you will, you've just proven you've never had to break your life down into 5-minute chunks just to survive. That's your privilege. Hold it tight. Whisper thank you to it. And then get out of the way of those who are fighting, clawing, bleeding for every breath, just like I have. If you're a content creator itching to exploit this for clicks, please don't turn this into a video. Just don't. Okay. What she's really saying is, please do. This is for the person sitting alone, staring at their screen, typing reasons to stay alive into a search bar because they've run out of hope. What do you think? Your Medium post was going to come up? Reasons to stay alive into Google, and somehow are you manipulating now the algorithm and stuff, Laura? Just like I did. This is for the one who doesn't need hollow promises or empty words, but anything, to believe there's still a reason to hold on. Guess what? This essay took 5 minutes to read. You just made it through 5 minutes. That means you can make it through 5 more. You've already proven you can. So don't stop. Take another 5, then another. And when you feel like there's nothing left, let this be your reason. Because one day, someone will need to know you survived. Maybe it will be a stranger searching the same desperate words, and your story will be the lifeline they find. Or maybe it'll be someone you love, someone who would feel your absence so deeply it would bury them in the same darkness you're facing now. Think about the people who love you, even if it feels like they don't. The one who would spend the rest of their lives replaying your last words, rereading your last text, asking themselves why they couldn't save you. The ones who would carry your loss like a weight they'll never put down. Save them from the pain. Save yourself from becoming a story that breaks the people who love you. Stay, even if you don't know why yet. Stay, not because you have it all figured out, but because there's more to discover. Stay, because your story isn't finished yet, and the next chapter might hold something you never imagined. Stay, because 5 minutes can change everything, but only if you're here to see it. This is so manipulative and on such an extreme level of gaslighting. And I do apologize, because I know that there are people who may have struggled with being in really low places. And what she's doing is mocking that. She's mocking it, belittling it. And the same thing with the autism diagnosis, right? You're throwing these labels on it, throwing out these words, but you don't have the experience behind it. And she is using it to manipulate the reader. And it's really dark and fucked up. It really is. Okay. You guys ready to move to 2025? Let's do it. The first Medium blog of 2025. One paternity petition to rule them all. Not really, but close enough. Okay. One paternity petition, 6-figure sanctions, and a fight that could go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. Good luck with that, Laura. I'd love it. I'd love to see it. Okay. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know. She's condescending on those who simply dare to call her out for their privilege, as she assumes their lives are peaches and cream. Well, and that it did bother me, because how the hell do you know I've never been, just because I'm against you and I call bullshit does not mean I've never been in a situation where I felt like I couldn't last 5 more minutes. You don't know me. But what I do know is you are a skinwalker. You mimic. You don't feel the emotions yourself. You mimic the emotions, just like a straight psychopath. You admitted to such in that post before, the one we just read, where you practice the narration, you practice the emotion and the body language and the social cues. You are not experiencing the emotions yourself versus replicating another person's emotions who genuinely feels it. It's insulting. And a partridge in a pear tree. When I filed, when I was a young warthog, when I filed a paternity petition against Clayton Echard, a former star of The Bachelor, if you hadn't noticed, I trusted the court system would do what it was built to do: evaluate facts, apply the law, and deliver fairness. I had medical documentation of my pregnancy, more than Arizona law even requires, and every legal right to file. What followed was not only a pregnancy miscarriage, but also a miscarriage of justice so severe it demands public scrutiny and judicial correction. You see how she flips that shit? She she is the victim of this. I expected the court to do exactly what it did. That is exactly what they did. But because it didn't go in your favor for the very first time, and she's weaponized the legal system for years and years and gotten away with it. But because they did what they should have done from day one, this was a miscarriage of justice. If you're interested in the background, what led up to this petition, the harassment and the personal toll, you can find my full story at lauramichelleowens.com/mynewreality. We'll take a look at that. But this essay isn't about background. It's about what happened next. I believe the Arizona Court of Appeals would correct the clear and devastating errors made by the Maricopa County Superior Court in June 2024. Instead, they reinforced them. Let me explain exactly how and why this case matters to everyone, okay? Not just me. Let's do it. Let's go, girls. 1, they upheld a ruling built on evidence that never existed. In her June 18th, 2024 ruling, Maricopa County Superior Court Judge Julie Ann Mata included a critical error in her findings of fact. She claimed that Clayton's expert testified the Planned Parenthood clinic I referenced was closed on the day I said I visited. That testimony does not exist. It was never offered, never entered into evidence, and appears nowhere in the transcript from the June 10th, 2024 hearing. The expert never said it, and neither did anyone else. I don't recall their expert saying that it wasn't open. I don't recall that. Why do I recall? The problem was they only had the ones that Laura originally stated she went to, but then she switched it and said she went to a different one in California. And so they may have mentioned something about the ones that they believed she had went to initially, but I can't recall off the top of my head. That was an error on the, okay, fair enough. But here's the thing, Laura, you lied continuously, like the goalpost was constantly moving because every time you gave them a facility, you changed it and changed it and changed it. So they're always going to be 3 facilities behind because you kept moving the goalpost. This was not a clerical mistake. It was an extrajudicial, the alleged product of Judge Mata's own independent research, which is not a legally permissible source of evidence. Arizona law is clear. Judges must base their ruling exclusively on evidence presented and admitted at trial. According to ARS 12-2103, appellate courts may only affirm rulings that are supported by the trial record, meaning evidence formally admitted during proceedings. When judges introduce outside information, the fairness of the process is compromised. That's not a technicality. That's a due process violation. Pause. Was her ruling solely based on that? The same way that when you obtained a protection order against Clayton, and it became about you releasing that photo, remember? And Clayton said, if I could prove she sent it to others, not just me, can you reverse the ruling? And he explained, well, that was one of the factors, but there are other reasons I made the ruling. Okay, same to you, Laura. Is that the sole reason she made the ruling? You can't cherry pick her ruling. The appellate court acknowledged the mistake in their March 28, 2025 ruling, but dismissed its importance, writing, even assuming the court erroneously relied on information not in evidence, Owens failed to explain how that reliance prejudiced the outcome of the proceeding. Exactly. The law doesn't require a showing of exact harm. Courts have long recognized that when credibility is assessed using material outside the record, the error is structural. It undermines the integrity of the proceeding itself. Girl, your credibility was shot based on everything that happened in that courtroom. The appellate court had a responsibility to step in. Instead, they shrugged, and in doing so, set a dangerous precedent. One where judges can import unsupported claims into their rulings, like the judge did for you against Clayton. That is a permission slip for judicial overreach. 2, they ignored Arizona law and my medical evidence. Okay. Prosecution did say that Planned Parenthood was closed on Sundays. It's just that the prosecutor didn't find out about it until shortly before that trial. That's why she says it wasn't in evidence. Got it. Okay, thank you. Just so it didn't, but how did the judge hear it? Because if the judge had it in her ruling, that would be my question. Yeah, she's just an expert on life in general. They ignored Arizona law and my medical evidence. Arizona law does not require proof of pregnancy to file a paternity petition before a woman gives birth. Under ARS 25-804A, all that's required is a good faith allegation. I went far beyond that. I submitted lab-confirmed blood and urine HCG tests from 2 separate medical providers. Proof of pregnancy backed by science, not speculation. Ah, okay. She said it in trial. Laura's attorney should have objected. Thank you. Okay. Yet Judge Mata ruled I was not pregnant. And the appellate court upheld that ruling without engaging with the statute, the evidence, or verified positive pregnancy test results. They didn't cite ARS 25-804. They didn't even explain how someone who meets and exceeds the statute's requirements could be deemed to have filed in bad faith. If a woman who submits medical proof can be told she made it all up, what chance does anyone have? What is the legal standard now? Certainty beyond miscarriage, full-term delivery, because that's not what the statute says. 3, I tried to withdraw, and they sanctioned me anyway. Arizona's Rule 26 of the Rules of Family Law Procedure isn't a suggestion. It's a safeguard. It was created to ensure that before any sanctions can be imposed for alleged bad faith or improper filings, the accused party is first given notice and a fair opportunity to withdraw or correct the issue within 10 days. Okay, Laura, you said it yourself. Within 10 days. You filed in July, right? And you claimed you miscarried back in July. And when did you withdraw? November? December? This safe harbor provision is meant to protect litigants from being blindsided by crippling financial penalties without warning. But that's exactly what happened to me. After I miscarried, the paternity case was on the court calendar for administrative dismissal. I had no intention of continuing litigation. But then Clayton, who had incurred no legal fees up until that point, hired a lawyer and moved to reinvigorate the case. The moment he did, I filed a motion to dismiss with prejudice. Of course, with prejudice. The strongest legal step I could take to permanently conclude the matter. That should have been the end of it. Instead, Echard's attorney, Greg Woodnick, filed a motion for sanctions under Rule 26 without ever serving me the required notice. No written warning, no 10-day correction period, no opportunity to withdraw, although I already had tried to. Months later, Woodnick quietly withdrew the motion, only after my attorney, David Gringus, pointed out that the filing it without Rule 26's mandatory procedure was itself a violation. But by then, the damage was done. Even with no active Rule 26 motion on file and with nothing left to litigate, Judge Mata still imposed nearly $150,000 in attorney's fees, citing bad faith conduct. The appellate court upheld that decision without reconciling the absence of a valid motion, proper notice, or the required findings under Rule 26C. By affirming sanctions under these conditions, the appellate court has effectively gutted the protections Rule 26 was designed to provide, where a litigant tries to do the right thing and is punished anyway. If left standing, this ruling will chill legitimate filings across Arizona, leaving people afraid to engage with the courts at all, because even following the rules may not be enough to protect them. 4, they misrepresented my motion to dismiss with prejudice. To summarize, the case was already scheduled to be administratively dismissed by the court, and after learning I had miscarried, I chose not to pursue it any further. I didn't file anything else. I was letting it close quietly. But then Clayton unexpectedly moved to revive the case, attempting to force the litigation to continue. Only at that point did I file a motion to dismiss with prejudice, a formal request to permanently end the case, ensuring it could never be reopened. But the appellate court twisted my intent. This is what they wrote. That administrative dismissal would have been without prejudice, so it would not have precluded Owens from initiating a future paternity action. Let me ask the obvious. Why would I refile a paternity action after I had told the court I was no longer pregnant? Why would I take the extraordinary step of filing a motion to dismiss with prejudice if I had any intention of refiling? The court's interpretation defies logic. I sought to end the case legally and respectfully, and the appellate court made it sound like I was keeping the door open. 5, they penalized me for appealing these very violations. At the end of the opinion, the appellate court wrote, Owens' position on appeal is unreasonable. Her Rule 26 argument is not grounded in law or fact. Likewise, her assertion that the trial judge was biased and committed structural error does not meaningfully address the trial court's rulings below and also ignores the applicable jurisprudence. Then, they awarded Clayton his appellate fees. We therefore award Clayton Echard his reasonable attorney fees and cost on appeal. In family law, appellate fee awards are uncommon and typically reserved for appeals that are clearly frivolous or malicious. Girl, you just answered it yourself. You literally it's right there. The answer is right there. You're pulling some Letitia logic right now. You are desperately trying to fit a triangle in a square, and it's not going to work. No matter how hard you try, it's just not going to fit there, girl. Mine was neither frivolous or malicious. I raised serious constitutional and procedural issues. The trial court relied on evidence outside the record, misapplied Rule 26, and ignored Arizona's paternity statute. Under ARS 25-324A, a fee award requires courts to consider both the financial resources of the parties and the reasonableness of their positions. The appellate court admitted the record does not support a disparity in resources, yet they still found my appeal unreasonable and awarded fees. That outcome contradicts both the text and spirit of the statute. Between the lower court and appellate rulings, I'm facing a combined judgment that is likely going to be at or surpass $200,000. All for filing a paternity petition I had every legal right to file. Yeah, if you were pregnant, like you're leaving out that little smidge of a detail, girl. If you were pregnant, which you were not. Where we go from here? We are preparing to file a motion for reconsideration with the Arizona Court of Appeals. If that is denied, we will seek review from the Arizona Supreme Court, and if necessary, the United States Supreme Court. This appeal raises profound constitutional and procedural questions, including bullet point. Can a judge decide a case using information that was never testified to as evidence? Bullet point. Can Rule 26's protections be bypassed, letting courts impose six-figure sanctions without serving a safe harbor notice, without a live motion pending, without a properly noticed hearing, and without applying the correct legal standard? Bullet point. Do litigants have a right to procedural fairness before being sanctioned? Bullet point. Can a woman who submits lab-confirmed urine and blood-positive pregnancy tests, along with photographic and video evidence of a visibly pregnant abdomen, still be told by a judge that she was never pregnant, and then be sanctioned for filing a paternity case she was legally entitled to bring under state law? Bullet point. If Arizona law allows a woman to file a paternity petition while she is still pregnant, is she subject to punishment if she later miscarries? Bullet point. Can an appellate court rubber stamp all of this and then impose even more financial penalties simply because the woman dares to appeal? I'm incredibly fortunate not to be fighting this alone. My attorney isn't doing this for money. I'm sorry, what'd you say? Did you just say your lawyer isn't? Why the fuck else would your lawyer be doing this? Is he getting paid, Laura? Is your lawyer getting paid? If the answer is yes, he is doing it for fucking money. The disconnect is real, guys. My attorney isn't doing this for money. He took on my appeal without charging me a dime. Is that true? Please, someone tell me, is this true? I can't trust her word. He took on the appeal without charging her. He said he got paid for the original case, but that he was doing the appeals work for free. Sometimes, the only thing I can think is sometimes lawyers may do certain work because what word am I looking for? The traction it will garner will result in a lot of referrals. Does that make sense? Like, there are certain lawyers who will work higher profile cases because the amount of work it will result in after will bring in a lot of money. He said he was working pro bono. I agree, Arlette. I agree. In BJ's. Okay. All right. My attorney isn't doing this for money. He took on my appeal without charging me a dime, and he's committed to taking this case as far as it needs to go, even to the U.S. Supreme Court, because he believes in something bigger than all of us, that the Constitution means something, and that due process is not optional, and that when the system fails this profoundly, someone has to stand up and say so. This isn't about just what happened to me. It's about making sure it never happens to anyone else. Girl, what exactly happened to you? Her lawyer was obsessed with the social media attention and wanted people to read his blog posts on his website, so that why he did a lot of extra work for her. I have heard, I guess I'm a little thrown off only because Laura, like, representing her is not the best look for that lawyer. But at the same time, you need to think of a guilty person. And a guilty person, that is why everyone went for Jose Baez, because guilty people in the future look at Jose Baez as the one who's going to get them off. So it's not so much, well, a bunch of innocent people want to go and use that type of defense attorney. It's about a bunch of guilty people who think, oh yeah, he did a good job and he fought, which every lawyer should do, you know, but yeah, okay. I guess I could be open to that, but the original, everything originally was being paid for, just the appeals wasn't, right? Hi, Tracy. Hey, Just Jen. Ooh, yes. I shared the link for the Mike Martini interview with Megan Fox in the Conspiracies chat. Oh, hell yeah. Thank you. I can't wait to go over that. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess it could fall under conspiracies. You know what? I'll create a Laura Owens chat. Let me do that right now real quick. On Patreon. We're going to be on Patreon tomorrow. I'm going to make a post to see what you guys want to cover, but let me create a Laura Owens. Laura Owens. All members. And then what emoji should we use? Pregnant. Okay. There's a Laura Owens chat now in Patreon. Woohoo! Thanks, FOS, for 11 months. MJ, ready? These passionate as fuck. Oh, read these passionate. Thank you, FOS. 1 month shy of a year. All right, what do we got next? Let me plug me in. Not me, my laptop. I don't get plugged in. Well, I mean, depends on what we're plugging in, but oh my God, not another autism one. Oh my gosh. Okay. There's 2 more after this one. Thanks, Harlot. At 34, an autism diagnosis gave me permission to breathe. It was an early Saturday morning at JFK, and exhaustion blurred everything around me. I just stepped off a cross-country flight and stood bleary-eyed, phone in hand, opening the Uber app to get to my sister's apartment, when a man approached me offering a private ride instead for $30. I eagerly accepted. I didn't question him. Bitch, sorry, hold on. I'm so sorry. You got off a flight at JFK and went to order your Uber, but instead a shady ass man offers to give you a private ride for $30. And after being raped multiple times, right? Abused multiple times, the FBI, the lawyer trying to have you killed, whatever the fuck you tried to claim, you were like, yeah, that seems about right. Yeah, let me hop in this guy's fucking Toyota Camry, right? Like that, come on. Yeah, like honestly, you set yourself up for that one. And thank you, Ronnie, for the super sticker. That's so sweet. Thank you so much. That's a Laura problem. You set yourself up for that one. Yeah, it's the same Indian guy who gave Tisha the cell phone to use. This is just, yeah, at JFK in New York City. Come on, guys. I eagerly accepted. So you didn't even hesitate. I didn't question him. It wasn't until we arrived at my destination and he coldly stared into my eyes, demanding $30 instead. What? Wait, sorry. He approached you offering a private ride for $30. Then when you got to your destination, he $300. I'm sorry. I was like, this doesn't make sense. Never mind. This is bullshit. I'm sorry. Already, I object to this shit. This is not a true story.
Any objection? All objections.
You're saying he offered to give you a ride for $30. Then when you arrived at your sister's, he stared coldly into your eyes with that eye contact you were able to maintain, because even though you are autistic, you have no problem maintaining eye contact. Your words, not mine. And he's like, give me $300.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
All right, let's just roll with it. Give me $300. Well, that's when alarm bells finally rang. By then, it was too late. It hit me like a punch. The risk I hadn't recognized until it was staring back at me. Girl, like, I'm sorry, like, you have no one to blame but you. And I know this is a lie, but like, even in this bullshit story, you have no one to blame but Laura. Later, sitting alone behind my sister's locked door, I was shaken. Not just because of what happened, but because of what could have been. It wasn't the first time my innate trust had left me vulnerable, but this moment shook me to my core. In therapy, as I recounted the incident, therapy, God, I'm sorry, this generation. Okay. In therapy, as I recounted the incident, my therapist responded, it's not naivety. It's your wiring. Your brain, Laura, just isn't built to anticipate deception. God, she loves to flip what she does to everyone else as if it's being done to her. Expecting me just know better, Laura, was like asking someone who's never seen the ocean to describe its color. That idea stuck with me. It explained more than a single frightening morning in New York. It helped to unravel decades of confusion, self-doubt, and isolation. Growing up with parents who were talk show hosts and a sister who could effortlessly charm any room, I was the quiet, sensitive child, easily dismissed as introverted. But it was more than shyness. It was an intense reliance on rigid routines to survive, eating the same meals every day, clinging desperately to exact schedules, predictable outcomes. Any minor disruption, a change in plans, an unexpected visitor, it felt catastrophic. Everyday noises like blenders, squeaky shoes, or overlapping conversations could overwhelm me, leaving me dizzy, nauseated, and disoriented. Crowded spaces or fluorescent lights triggered sensory overload so intense, I often had to abruptly leave social events. Again, oh my gosh, like you are describing majority of people, majority. As I grew older, I mastered the art of masking. I learned to script small talk, mimic mannerisms, and mirror facial expressions. This is the definition of psychopathy, ma'am, or sociopath. You are not experiencing the emotions yourself. You are mimicking them. You are displaying what you are interpreting another person's sadness. You don't feel that sadness, right? You don't feel, so you mimic sadness. You mimic anger. You mimic empathy and sympathy. You don't experience it yourself. From the outside, I appeared articulate and capable. I hosted a podcast, I gave a TEDx talk, and maintained the polished version of myself I'd spent years perfecting. But internally, it was a performance on a loop. Each interaction left me depleted and disconnected. I'd come home from seemingly mundane errands and crash, rehashing every word I'd said, panicking over whether I'd come off as too cold, too intense, or too awkward. The world saw the performance but never understood the emotional and mental cost it exacted. I was the maid of honor who missed 2 separate bachelorette parties because the mere thought of being on with a group of people all weekend left me physically incapacitated, racing heart, paralyzing fatigue. I didn't have the words then to explain why I vanished precisely when I most wanted to show up. Friends understandably took my cancellations as indifference, and slowly, painful misunderstandings tore apart those relationships. It was during the most destabilizing year of my life that my carefully constructed facade finally shattered. Relentless stress dismantled the coping strategies I'd spent years building, leaving me trapped in a cycle of sensory overload, shutdowns, and intense social confusion. Everyday tasks became impossible. I'd freeze in grocery aisles, overwhelmed by bright lights and the endless choices. I struggled to process conversations through background noise, causing hidden panic in even casual exchanges. Eventually, I stopped wanting to leave the house altogether. Several people suggested that I might be on the autism spectrum, so I decided to get formal testing. But you had no problem reaching out on LinkedIn to Clayton Echard and meeting up that same night. And by your own admission, right? You guys were naked in minutes and you guys didn't get dressed till the next morning. You had no problem doing that. None at all, right? That was fine. That wasn't too much. She posted them FOS all day, like a little blog, I guess, but she's since deleted them now that she's been indicted. Yeah, imagine struggling with all of those normal things you're struggling with and then still having to get up and earn an income every day. Wow, Laura, right? Like the rest of us, you don't have that choice. You have to push through it. Not all of us have casitas. Receiving my autism diagnosis at 34, it was initially devastating. I had only ever heard about extreme cases, nonverbal children, extraordinary savant skills, visible struggles. How could that word possibly describe me? I could speak in front of a crowd. I wasn't extraordinary. I wasn't visibly struggling, and yet I was always struggling. Thanks, Des. Laura, using big words does not make them true. She does, and thank you. That's what she does. She likes to, she does put a neat bow on it. That's why I said she's more educated in Letitia book than Letitia Bookwise. She can write well, but it does not make it true. Well, she lost all of her friends, Juliet, from ditching on the bachelorette parties and stuff. Autism diagnoses in adults have increased significantly in recent years. Do you know why? I don't want to piss off my entire audience tonight, so I'll just keep my mouth shut. Autism diagnoses in adults have increased significantly in recent years, particularly among women. According to a 2022 study published in Autism Research, more than 80% of autistic women remain undiagnosed at age 18. And many aren't diagnosed until their 30s or 40s. Another 2024 report in JAMA Network Open found that autism diagnoses among adults in their early 30s have increased more than fourfold in the past decade. These late diagnoses often follow a year of misdiagnoses, masking and internalized shame. I've learned that autism for me isn't about outward appearances. It's about my internal experience of the world. My sensitivity, intensity, and confusion aren't personal flaws. They are simply a different way my brain processes everything around me. The diagnoses offered context, a framework for understanding my entire life. Not a series of failures, but as survival in a world that was not built for how I process it. Since my diagnoses, disbelief hasn't come from people who truly know me, but from those who think they do. Specifically, internet and social media strangers who have only ever seen my carefully curated highlight reel. Yet they speak with harsh certainty. You're not autistic. You're too articulate.
You're just playing the victim.
You're faking it. It's been aggressive, dismissive, designed to humiliate. What took me decades to uncover gets reduced to nothing in seconds by someone scrolling past a version of me that was never whole to begin with. What they don't see is the endless second guessing of every word, every pause, every glance. The exhaustion of trying to be agreeable, easy, normal. Just enough to belong, never too much to upset the balance. They don't see the mental math that I do to anticipate reactions, avoid conflict, and stay in people's good graces. I have witnessed you do none of that. Quite the opposite, Laura. They don't feel the sensory chaos I'm pushing through during a conversation, or how even a kind smile can feel like a spotlight when I'm overwhelmed. They don't know that behind my steady voice and practiced ease, I'm working twice as hard just to stay in the room. And when people don't see that, it's incredibly lonely. That hidden burnout nearly cost me my life. More times than I can count. Suicidal ideation swallowed me. Not because I wanted to die, but because I couldn't imagine enduring another day in a world that felt so loud, so relentless, and so completely indifferent to how hard I was trying just to keep up. I carried a crushing weight of self-loathing, convinced I was lazy, weak, and irreparably broken. I'm not alone. According to a 2022 study in the Lancet Psychiatry, autistic adults, especially women diagnosed later in life, are 9 times more likely to experience suicidal thoughts. That statistic isn't abstract to me. It's lived. It's survived. Well, barely. Yet autism isn't all suffering. There's a quiet power in seeing the world differently, an invisible gift hidden inside what felt like a curse. Slowly, I've begun to recognize the beauty in the very traits I spent years trying to erase. My intensity allows me to love with my whole heart, not halfway. My sensitivities, once overwhelming, now tether me closely to people, animals, and the smallest details others miss. My lifelong obsession with horses is the clearest reflection of this. When I ride, the world stops screaming. The noise fades. I feel grounded. I feel safe and completely unmistakably myself. I'm still at the very beginning of understanding myself. I'm slowly learning to let awkward silences remain silent, to stop rushing to fill them with forced smiles or nervous laughter. I'm allowing myself moments of rest after overstimulation. I no longer equate my worth with how convincingly I can pass as neurotypical, and I'm finally learning to extend compassion to myself, something I'd previously reserved only for others. I'm sorry, it's just very insulting because I love how we are becoming more and more educated, that I will give that today's society is we are becoming more and more educated with diagnoses like autism or ADHD or any split personality, which, you know, it's not called split personality anymore, but borderline personality disorder. All of these diagnoses, we are becoming more educated. We're having a better understanding. And that stigma is slowly lessening, which is amazing. Like, we need it, like people. But when you have people like Laura, and when you have people like Letitia Stalker, anyone who uses one of those diagnoses to justify shitty behavior, you're pushing that stigma back on. And it's like taking 3 steps forward, but 4 steps back, because you are making people believe that someone who may be on the spectrum will be more likely to fabricate 3 fucking pregnancies and utilize the court system to litigate false claims. And it's messed up. It's very messed up. Same thing with someone who's struggling with depression and maybe having suicidal ideations. You are the worst type of person because you are trying to mimic and replicate their experiences to get in on an emotional level when you do not at all understand what that feels like. I mean, I can't say for certain what she's feeling, but you're admitting that you replicate and mimic people. I don't believe for 1 second. Because again, if what you're doing is like watching someone put their hand on a hot stove and get burned, right? Ow! Yeah, don't touch that. That's hot. That stove is hot. Oh my God, yes. Proceeds to walk over and you put your hand on that stove again. Ow! And you keep fucking doing it. And for whatever reason you are not learning, don't touch the fucking stovetop. It will burn you. That is how I view Laura. If you want me to believe Dave Neal and everyone else is putting you into this suit, like, and I will acknowledge, again, the weight of the internet can be harsh, but seeing that you are going out of your way, creating Discord accounts, creating Patreon accounts, taking it off of the public platform into private platforms, that is you going and touching that stove yourself. If you don't care enough for your own mental well-being and your own mental health, and you truly were struggling with feeling so down, you would want to take your own life. Why the fuck are you seeking it out? I understand you can't control when it comes to you. And there are people, I'm sure, who will send emails and cross the line and go into real life 100%. That you can't control. But you can control everything else. And even within your 5-minute talk, you talked about going back over to his channel and seeing how many views increased. That's a choice. So I'm going to stop feeling bad after you burn your hand 20 times and you're not doing anything to change it. I share my story now during Autism Acceptance Month because my experience, it's not rare. It's desperately common and profoundly misunderstood. So many of us go through life wondering why everything feels harder, why we're constantly overwhelmed, drained, misunderstood, and we blame ourselves, carrying a burden of shame for struggles we can't even articulate. But the truth, well, the truth is kinder than that. Autism doesn't always mean silence, avoiding eye contact, or lacking empathy. Sometimes it means having friends, doing well professionally, and still coming home each night feeling exhausted by things that don't seem to drain anyone else. It can mean pre-scripting conversations, needing strict routines, or completely shutting down in high-stress situations. It can mean missing social cues, taking things too literally, or breaking down, not because something huge happened, but because there were too many choices to make, the room too loud, the day too long. It can look like me. And if it looks like you too, if you've spent years wondering why life feels harder than it seems to be for everyone else, consider seeking answers, not for a label, but for a framework. a language, a map. But because autism isn't a flaw in how you function, it's a difference in how you experience the world. And the moment you finally see that difference for what it is, not a defect, but a design, is the moment everything you've struggled with starts to make sense. Like standing outside a room that you didn't know you'd been locked out of your entire life. And finally being handed the key. Let's see. I've said it once, I've said it a million times. She's weaponizing autism, in my opinion. It pisses me off. It pisses me off. I think of it very similar to how with Koberger in the Idaho 4 case, where all of a sudden, when you are facing the death penalty, that all suddenly you are diagnosed with autism and every OCD, all these diagnoses with, of course, is there a possibility you could have been undiagnosed your whole life? Sure, but too convenient to me, way too convenient. And her specifically using it to excuse not seeking prenatal care. These are the reasons I did not seek no, because again, you're making someone who's not knowledgeable, not educated, believe that someone with autism may be less incapable of caring for their unborn child, adding to that stigma again. No, absolutely not. Actually, being on the spectrum, yeah, of course, sometimes, a lot of times you will struggle socially, but someone on the spectrum is far more intellectual, brilliant. Some of the best minds in history have been on the spectrum. You can't just weaponize a diagnosis to fit a narrative, to push your narrative. And it's adding insult to injury to do it during Autism Awareness Month. And I give you all the credit. It's, listen, and again, it's a spectrum, and more we're becoming more educated about it, and that's amazing. But at the same time, it minimizes genuine diagnoses when everyone and their mom kind of goes in and it's like you're shopping for diagnoses. And it does no justice for people who are genuinely struggling with it. The same way it does no justice for someone with multiple personality disorder. We already have movies like Split and Sybil, and it's characterizing and putting somebody with that disorder through the lenses where people think you're dangerous. And then you have Letitia Stout, right? Child murderer. Well, I killed him because I have multiple personality disorder. That is adding to that stigma. That is not educating people. That is going to make people more concerned because they believe somebody with that disorder is more likely to kill a child. Same thing Laura's doing. You're leading people to believe being on the spectrum can have someone act and behave the way you have. And that is just not true. Someone on the spectrum is actually less likely to commit a crime. So you could just, I'm autistic and I don't fake pregnancy. Exactly. And so someone who's not educated may read this, and again, it just adds to that stigma. The same way that Princess Diana broke that stigma with AIDS, right? Because people would not adopt these children because they were terrified from the stigma. If you're even in the same room, you will catch it. And that hug broke that stigma. Princess Diana hugging that little child in that hospital broke that stigma. You are pushing people back into a stigma. And that does, it's just so insulting. Okay. So I'll stop there because we have 2 left. And I guess we'll finish them tomorrow so we could start maybe members only Monday with Gillespie, even though I really I'm like I wish I could do 2 things at the same time. I cannot wait to review that Mike Maricini interview, but we got to start the Greg. And please give me your suggestions if you're watching on replay or anything and you're more familiar where to start with Greg. I was going to, I guess, kind of just go onto the Victims of Laura Owens website and go through their timeline like we did with Mike's and then watch the court hearings. But if anyone has any suggestions, I'm open to hearing it. I appreciate it. If you are over on Patreon, I'm going to be making a poll to let me know what kind of stream you guys want to do tomorrow on Patreon. And so keep an eye out for that. And now there's a Laura Owens chat created on Patreon. You can be a free member on Patreon too and be part of the chats and some of the streams. So even if you can't afford it, consider hopping over to Patreon and hanging out with us over there. But we'll finish these Medium posts tomorrow. So I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your Saturday night. I don't know if anyone else is going live. So I don't know where to send you, but I hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and I will see you guys tomorrow.